Bencock lurches naked across the tile floor of the men's locker room, not concerned with subtlety. He leers. Richie points his skinny ass at the old queer, bends over and farts. I continue to struggle into the St. George loaner bathing suit. It's the second one I've tried, and though bigger than the first, it's still way too small. Richie told me about Bencock, and sure enough, the guy's dick has this right angle bend in it. It hangs there like some nasty letter L, looking like it was caught in a door or something. I feel bad about staring. I try not to, but hell, he's staring at me. This is my first visit to the St. George Hotel pool. I wanted to bring my own bathing suit, but Richie said that nobody did that except a few dorks. I'm not a dork. Suit number 3 is bigger, big enough to pull all the way up, but instantly I've got this deep wedgie. The Puerto Rican guy who works at the bathing suit window is laughing. I decide he's another queer as I strip it off and he hands me suit number 4. Still small, but I figure it'll have to do. Richie, an old hand at the St. George, doesn't play the bathing suit game with the guy in the window. Although a couple of years older, Richie is a lot smaller than me. And one of my discards fits him just fine. We splash through the foot bath and head for the pool. Once upon a time, this pool must have been the pride of Brooklyn. It's gigantic, bigger than most of the outdoor pools I've seen. Even if it hadn't been March, still much too early for outdoor swimming in New York, it would have been worth the long subway ride from Queens. This place is amazing. The walls and ceiling capture the salt water smell and echo the sounds of water slapping and pumps humming, and mostly the sounds of all the people. There are a lot of teenagers like us, but lots of other people too. There are young Italian guys flexing their muscles near the diving boards, fat black women floating their giant breasts through the shallow water, and old men in bathing caps doing endless laps at the deep end. 2 women with dark mustaches are arguing in a language that sounds like static on the radio, and a bunch of Chinese kids play Marco Polo. And a family of midgets is passing around the tiniest baby I ever saw. Richie was right about the bathing suits. Except for some fat boys and a couple of the little kids, just about everybody wears the faded black St. George Hotel bathing suits. Like me, most of the boys wear suits that are too small. To make up for that, though, the suits they give the girls are all too big, and they stretch out even bigger as soon as they get wet. I slip easily into the water, glad that it's warmer than the outdoor pools I'm used to. Richie cannonballs, drawing a whistle from the lifeguard chair and some angry Yiddish from a pair of old men. I'm flopping around in my usual backstroke when he calls me over near the ladder. Now, he says, I'm going to show you the best thing about this place. Once again, Richie demonstrates his mastery of all the angles. This time the angle is looking up. As girls climb the ladder to leave the pool, interesting gaps open up between sodden, oversized bathing suits and skin. Only a couple of months into my teen years, I'm fascinated. The tight racing suit becomes unbearable, and I desperately try to accomplish an underwater readjustment. The crystal waters of St. George Hotel pool hide nothing, and an older girl on the ladder looks down at me with disgust. Get away from the ladder, you little creep, and don't think I don't know what you're up to. If I tell my boyfriend, he'll bust your ass. It is Richie, of course, who makes the crude remark that starts her yelling for the lifeguard. I'm glad it's only the lifeguard and not her boyfriend. The lifeguard just blows his whistle and waves us away from the ladder. The St. George lifeguards are an easygoing bunch. Richie has another game to play, a game he calls Flop the Top. When he tells me how it goes, I tell him he's crazy. He calls me a faggot. I don't care. The women's bathing suits at the St. George tie behind the neck with 2 cords. According to Richie, if you pull on the end of a cord, the knot comes undone. When the knot comes undone, the front of the suit falls down. Flop the top. I warn him not to try, but still I tag along as he scouts out likely victims. He says the way it's done is to accidentally bump into a girl and then just yank the ripcord. On the first try, it looks like it might work, but the girl catches her suit before it falls. The second girl is tied a double knot. The suit stays put, and she gives Richie a real dirty look as he's swimming away. Finally, Richie finds a girl who looks like the perfect mark. She's blonde, about my age, with skin as white as Wonder Bread and two little mounds just big enough to notice. Best of all, the knot behind her neck is so loose it would probably come out by itself if we just followed her around for a while. Richie is not about to wait. He gets behind her, gives a tug, and the front of her suit plops right down into the water. And then things begin to go wrong. Instead of grabbing for her bathing suit like you'd expect, she whirls around bare-chested and lunges at Richie as he's making his getaway. As she's lunging, she loses even more of the suit, and I see her wonder white ass clear the surface of the water. Now mostly naked, she grabs Richie by the hair with one hand and throws a solid punch right into the middle of his face with the other. Blood shoots out of Richie's nose and spreads out into the water as she ducks him under, then yanks him back up by the hair and socks him again. Only then does she let go of him and reach to pull up her bathing suit. Whistles are blowing all over the pool, and one of the lifeguards even comes into the water to pull Richie out. He's still spurting blood as the girl disappears into the ladies' locker room. A big crowd gathers, of course, because of all the blood. So they take Richie to the men's lockers, and the bathing suit man stops the bleeding with St. George Hotel loaner towels. Bent cock, still naked and wandering around, feels Richie's nose and says it's not broken. Everybody takes his word for it. Later, on the subway, Richie is back to his old self, notwithstanding a swollen nose and two blackening eyes. "Shit," he says. "Did you see her? She was goddamn naked." "Yeah," I answer. "I caught a good look while she was beating your head in." "Well, what was I supposed to do?" he asks. "You can't hit a naked broad, can you?" Outside the window, Brooklyn is going by. But I still see that wet, white